The clock long past midnight, and the room glowed with the light from the TV. Jungkook and In were sitting together on the couch, a big blanket thrown messily over their legs, half a bucket of popcorn resting between them. The drama started almost 4 hours ago, and both of them sworn they would stop. After just one more episode, but here they were, still glued to the screen. The lead couple on the show were once again crying over something stupid, some misunderstanding that could have been solved if they just talked, and Jungkook groaned so loud that she threw a cushion at him. "This is so stupid," he leaned forward, glaring at the screen. "She literally loves him. Just say it already and end the suffering. Double quotes. She rolled her eyes, popping a piece of popcorn into her mouth. "Excuse me, he is the one who should say it first. Why do women always have to confess? Let the man do the work for once." He turned to her, his eyebrows raised. "What? He's already suffered enough. She's been ignoring him for like 5 episodes. He deserves an apology first. Double quotes. She gave a dry laugh. He deserves a slap first. He's the one who lied to her. She didn't even let him explain. He lied. He panicked." They glared at each other, both half leaning forward like two kids arguing over whose superhero was stronger. The tension only broke when a scene played. On the TV, rain, thunder, a sad soundtrack, and the two of them groaned together, throwing their heads back against the couch. "Why are we still watching this?" Jungkook rubbed his eyes. "I'll go to sleep. She grabbed his arm before he even moved an inch. "No, after all this nonsense, they have to confess now. I didn't waste 4 hours for nothing." Another episode passed, then another, and another. A whole hour passed by. The time the long-awaited confession scene finally came. Both of them were sitting at the edge of the couch like they were about to witness history. Jungkook was holding the popcorn. In had the blanket pulled up to her chin, and they were both silently mouthing, "Come on, just say it, asterisk." And then it happened. The guy finally said, "I love you," and the girl started crying and said it back. And before either of them knew it, both screamed out loud, "Finally!" She threw her arms up, popcorn flying everywhere, and Jungkook laughed so hard that he dropped the bowl. They looked at each other, wide-eyed, and for some reason, maybe the late hour, maybe the excitement, they both lunged forward, hugging each other tightly in shared victory. The blanket slipped, tangled around them as they rolled slightly on the couch, laughing so hard they could barely breathe. But somewhere between the laughter and the chaos, the laughter stopped slowly because suddenly the room went quiet. She blinked. She was half on top of him, her hands resting on his chest. His arm was still around her waist, his heart thumping hard enough that she could feel it. The glow from the TV flickered across their faces, and for a second, neither of them moved. Her breath stuttered when she realized how close they were, his face just inches from hers, eyes darker than she remembered. The world outside didn't exist for a moment. There was just them, tangled in the mess of blankets, popcorn scattered across the floor, and the music playing in the background. His gaze dropped to her lips for just a heartbeat, remembering the exact moment he kissed her. They didn't talk about that whole thing. They chose to ignore the elephant in the room, but right now, he was remembering it again, and her fingers tightened slightly on his shirt before she blinked, snapping herself back to reality. "Okay. That was a great confession scene." She tried to sit up, voice a little too high. He cleared his throat, also sitting up, trying to look anywhere but at her. "Yeah, very emotional. 5 stars." But when they both tried to move away at the same time, the blanket refused to cooperate. It tugged and twisted around them like a trap. She frowned, tugging at the corner near her elbow. She gave a little pull. "I think we're stuck."
He tried moving too, but the more he shifted, the tighter the fabric got. "Yeah, I can see that. Stop moving."
She hissed. "You're making it worse." "I'm not moving." "Yes, you are." "No, you are." Before either of them could finish their sentence, the balance gave out. The blanket twisted one last time and thud. They both rolled right off the couch and hit the floor. "Ow!" She yelped. Double quote shit, he groaned, eyes squeezing shut as the back of his head hit the carpet, and she landed right on top of him. Their heads bumped together, and opened her eyes, groaning, her hair a wild mess that fell over both their faces. He blinked through the strands, his hand instinctively on her waist, trying to steady her. Great, just perfect. Her face was so close he could count the freckles on her nose, feel the quick, uneven rhythm of her breathing against his cheek. "This is your fault," she said. Double quote. "Mine? You're the one who attacked me with the blanket." "I didn't," she started. But her words trailed off when she realized his hand was still resting against her side, his thumb brushing the edge of her shirt. The warmth dot from his touch spread through her like fire. Jungkook noticed it too, how quiet it suddenly got, how her eyes flicked to his lips for a second before she looked away fast. His heartbeat kicked up, his smirk fading. "Are you gonna move?" he asked finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "Right," she said quickly, trying to push herself up, but her hand slipped on the dot blanket, and she ended up leaning into him again, their foreheads almost touching this time. He let out a soft breath. "You sure you're not doing this on purpose?" Dot cheeks flushed, and she scowled to hide it. "Oh my gosh, shut up, dot, double quotes. Dot, he grinned this time, unable to help it. "You shut up first." She glared at him, but the effect didn't really work when her face was still inches dot from his. "You're such a child. Shouldn't it be illegal that you're the one on top of a child, dot, double quotes, dot, her mouth fell open. "You..." She smacked his chest lightly, but that only made him laugh harder. His laugh vibrated through her palms, low and warm, and for some stupid reason, dot, it made her stomach twist. "Stop laughing," she said, trying to wriggle free. But he only made it worse, moving just enough to get the blanket tangled around both their legs again. "Stop moving, idiot, you're doing this on purpose, right?" She glared harder, dot finally managing to untangle herself with one sharp pull. She scrambled to her feet, fixing her messy hair and glaring down at him while he just stayed there flat on the dot floor, grinning up at her. "You enjoy annoying me, don't you?" she asked, crossing her arms. He tilted his head. "Well, you're so easy to annoy. It's like free entertainment." "Oh, haha, very funny," she said, rolling her eyes before grabbing the nearest pillow and throwing it straight at his face. He caught it effortlessly. "Your aim's getting better," she ignored him, pretending to yawn. "Your punishment is to clean all this mess. I'm going to sleep."
His smile vanished instantly. Wait, what? No way.
"You made the mess too. Don't walk away, Inhei." He pushed himself up, but she was already halfway down the hall, waving him off. "Good night, child," she called over her shoulder. And then the bedroom door slammed shut. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck before looking at the mess again. Wasted all the popcorn. Sunday mornings were supposed to be lazy, but this one wasn't. Jungkook was standing in front of the mirror, buttoning his black shirt, his hair still damp from the shower. His room smelled faintly of his aftershave. The door was wide open and leaned against the door, arms folded, watching him quietly for a moment before speaking. "Do you need something?" he asked, eyes meeting hers through the reflection. "No, but it's Sunday." "Where are you going?" He just rolled his sleeves up to his elbows, checking his watch, pretending not to notice the question. "The mysterious place you always disappear to. You didn't come home last night, so I thought maybe today you'd actually stay." "I have to go," he said simply, grabbing his jacket from the chair. She frowned. "It's been 4 months. You still won't tell me where you go every weekend?" He finally looked at her, still through the reflection. "You don't trust me still?" She blinked, caught off guard by the question. "I do. That's why I stopped asking. But I'm a curious woman, you know? And we're not strangers anymore. Do I not get the right to ask things like this?" His shoulders tensed, his hands stilling as he stared at the mirror. For a moment, she thought he'd ignore her again, but then he let out a long sigh and turned around to face her. "Fine, you want to come with me?" "Wait, seriously?" He gave a small nod, shoving his hands in his pockets. "If you're that curious, come. Maybe you'll stop imagining things." She blinked, taken aback by the offer. "Listen, I'm not trying to push you or anything. If you don't want to share, I'll drop it. I just thought," she hesitated, biting her lip. "I just thought maybe you'd trust me enough by now, double quotes. He looked at her for a long. "It's not about trust in." "Then what is it about? You coming or not?" He grabbed his keys from the table and brushed past her. Double quotes. "Yeah," she said finally, pushing off the frame and following him. Walking beside him, she couldn't help but notice how the white walls seemed endless, swallowing every bit of warmth in the air, increasing her anxiety. Him, on the other hand, walked quietly. She wanted to ask him why they were here, but his silence kept her from opening her mouth. When they finally stopped in front of a door near the end of the hallway, he just stood there for a moment, hand rested on the handle, his shoulders stiff. She looked at him, confused but worried, and he took a quiet breath before turning the knob. Then he gave her a small nod, almost like he was saying, "Go on. It's okay." So she stepped inside first. The room was soft and pale, slow, rhythmic beep, beep, beep filled the silence. The curtains were half drawn, sunlight slipping in faintly, touching everything in the room. There were flowers on the table, some fresh, some clearly replaced often, and a faint scent of lilac in the air. Her throat tightened as she turned toward Jungkook, who walked closer. He stood by the bedside, looking down at the woman with an expression that made her chest ache. It was soft, full of longing and grief. He never said out loud, "Who is she?" she asked quietly, almost afraid to break the silence. He didn't look at her when he answered. "My mother. Double quotes." She knew the moment she stepped in, but it still made her forgot to breathe. She dotsed back at the woman, and suddenly, all the pieces she never understood about him began to fit. The exhaustion in his eyes. His long disappearances every weekend. The way he worked too much and never speak about it. He didn't want to appear vulnerable in front of her. She looked so weak. What happened to her? He closed his eyes and sighed. She had a brain hemorrhage. 9 months ago. Her eyes flicked toward him. It was sudden. She was at work when she collapsed. The doctor said one of the vessels in her brain burst. Too much pressure for too long. He exhaled slowly, jaw tightening. By the time we got to the hospital, most of the damage was already done. He sat down on the small chair beside the bed, elbows resting on his knees. They said it was serious, that she might not wake up at all, but she does sometimes for a while. Sometimes for a few minutes. She opens her eyes, looks around. Sometimes she recognizes me. Sometimes she doesn't. The doctor said parts of her brain that handle memory and speech were damaged. He rubbed his thumb gently over her hand. One time she called me by my father name. Another time, she just stared at me like I was a stranger. Double quotes. Hard, her eyes stinging. And what do the doctors say now?
He gave a small, humorless smile. They say she's stable.
That's what they always say, not better. Her body's strong enough to keep going, but her mind. They told me recovery's possible, but it could take years, or it might never happen. They can't say for sure. The machine beeped softly beside them, filling the silence between his words. And you've been coming here since... He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. Since the day it happened. I used to visit her every day at first. Morning before work, night after. I didn't miss a single day for the first few months, but then the bills started piling up. ICU charges, medicines, it's all too much. I couldn't keep up with it anymore. So I started doing 2 jobs. Now I only come on weekends, spend the whole day here when I can. Last night was the first time. I wasn't here on a weekend. I just didn't want to miss it. The few moments she opens her eyes. Sometimes it's only for a minute, but someone has to pay the bills. She placed her hand on his shoulder. She will be all right. She will recover. You just have to stay strong. I used to tell myself that too, he said after a moment. But the truth is, she won't. I already have myself prepared. No matter how much these doctors gave me hope, there is no chance for her. He said it so simply, like it wasn't tearing him apart. The boy she always seen as infuriating. The one who threw sarcastic remarks at her every chance he got, who argued about popcorn and flowers. The one who laughed when she got annoyed, or teased her just to get a reaction. Now looked like a completely different person. And for the first time, she realized how little she actually knew about him. She couldn't believe that behind all that attitude was someone carrying so much weight, someone who woke up every day just to keep his world from falling apart. He was just trying to survive in this world. She wanted to say something, anything, but her voice wouldn't come out. So she just stood there beside him, watching the steady rise and fall of his mother's chest, and the boy who looked so strong even when he was breaking. For months, it had just been him, a job, hospital visits, and sleepless nights. Then that stupid scandal happened, the one that ruined everything, and he became even more secret about his life. His mother was the only one who ever saw him, the real him, before everything went downhill. But now, she just lies on the hospital bed, her soft breathing matching the rhythm of the machines. In which deep thoughts are you in said, handing him the chicken sandwich she made. He looked at her surprised because, yeah, she can't cook to save her life, though she can make every type of smoothie and coffee and tea. But in cooking, yeah, no. But she could make sandwiches too. Is there poison in it? Yes, she deadpanned. I finally decided to get rid of you today. That's mean, he muttered, but took a bite anyway, and to his surprise, it wasn't bad. Actually, it was pretty good. Sometimes you act very weird, he said around a mouthful, talking like a 5-year-old. I'm weird? She scoffed, taking a huge bite of her own sandwich. You just get surprised every time I do some work. It hurts my pride, okay? She spoke mid-chew. Crumbs flying as a tiny piece landed right on the sofa. She blinked at it for half a second, then picked it up quickly and popped it back in her mouth. Jungkook stared at her. Then he started coughing, choking, and laughing all together. Double quote. What? She frowned. He couldn't even get the words out at first. He was laughing so hard. You just ate that piece off the sofa. She looked at him blankly. Huh? Now it's not gross that you are eating it. Double quotes. Her cheeks turned pink instantly in embarrassment. It's not. Okay, fine. She threw up, her hands glaring when he kept laughing. It looked gross, all right? I just oh, don't know. I was taught to think it's gross. Okay. We literally had classes for this kind of things. How to sit, how to eat, how to serve, what fork to use for salad, everything. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, still smiling. You had a class for eating? Yes, well, sort of. It was part of, etiquette lessons. Geez, you rich people are weird. Do you guys get classes on how to sleep, walk, and breath? It must suck. It does most of the times, but not everyone does it. It mostly my father's elder sister who used to be strict about these kind of things, she said, remembering the horrible time. But I used to sometimes skip those. It used to be so boring. Late. He took another bite. He really can't imagine himself taking those lessons. He would start laughing and get kicked out. They both went quiet for a few minutes, the sound of them chewing filling the little living room. Then out of nowhere she spoke. Jungkook, he hummed, eyes still on his food. I was just wondering, why don't you do an office job? Not that I'm not saying anything about your current jobs. But if you get one, it would be something stable.
He froze for a second, then sighed, leaning back against the couch. I did. I applied to a few places before.
Sent out resumes, interviews and all that double quotes, with the quotes, and she asked carefully. And I got rejected. Some said the positions were already full, some just didn't reply at all. And then when my mom got hospitalized, I couldn't wait around. I needed money fast. So I started doing whatever I could, fixing cars, night, shifts, deliveries, anything that paid quick. She looked at him quietly. Sandwich forgotten. You could apply again now, though. Maybe you get one this time. He shook his head slowly. I don't know. I'm kind of tired of trying and getting nowhere. Everyone gets rejected. That doesn't mean you stop trying. Maybe he muttered at last, almost under his breath, as if saying more would make it too real. That's good enough for now. He looked at her again, the corner of his mouth twitching up. You're really bad at minding your own business, you know that? I know. But I'm great at fixing other people's, she said, flicking her hair, and he chuckled, shaking his head again. For the next few weeks, In took charge like it was her personal mission. Every evening after dinner, she sat cross-legged on the couch with her laptop open, scanning job listings while Jungkook half-heartedly scrolled on his phone. She make him send his CV to new companies, help him rewrite his cover letter, and even correct his grammar, something he found both annoying and weirdly endearing. He didn't want to admit it, but part of him thought she was doing all this because she was embarrassed by what he did for a living. But then he'd look at her face, when she was hunched over his resume, muttering about how they'd be idiots not to hire him, and he'd realize it wasn't pity. She genuinely wanted things to be better for him. So he let her even when it hurt. Even when every rejection email made his hope die. In a month, he was rejected from 4 companies, didn't get callbacks from several others, and was still waiting to hear back from 3 interviews. Each time his phone ring, a small flicker of hope would rise only to fade a second later when it was just a random spam text. And now, today, there was another interview. One he didn't even want to go to. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, wearing a wrinkled shirt, running a hand through his hair when and walked around in his room like a tiny headmaster. Bill, this one looks better, she said. holding up a tie like she was judging art. The other one makes you look like you're about to attend a funeral. I might as well be, he muttered. She gave him a look. Don't start. I'm serious, they're not gonna hire me. This is my 4th leave of the month, and if my boss finds out, I'm gonna get kicked out of the job I actually have. No, you are not going to get kicked out of anywhere, she said firmly, tightening her grip on the tie. God, you're acting like a child right now, double quotes, he raised his brows. Excuse me for thinking realistically. Not everyone gets to wake up and manifest a miracle. She gave him a hard look and stepped in front of him, so close he could see the tiny crease at the corner of her eye. Well then maybe you should start trying, she straightened his collar with practiced fingers, then looped the tie around his neck, and began to work the knot. He groaned. They'll just say no. The same excuses. Positions closed, too many applicants, someone else has more experience. She jerked him closer with the tie and suddenly they were nose to nose. Close enough that he could feel her breath and smell the faint citrus of the soap on her hands. He froze, a weird electric kind of quiet, filling the space between them. She leaned in like it was the most normal thing, tying the knot tighter so it sat right under his chin. If I hear one more whine, I'm going to choke you. He swallows, an awkward smile tugging at his mouth because there's no answer for that. And she goes back to the knot, fingers skilled and impatient as she pulls it tight, fussing with the loop until it sits straight against his throat. He could tie it himself. He knows that, but when she forces her hands into the task he finds he doesn't mind. It's easier to let her do the small, domestic thing than to argue. And watching her focus gives him something steadier than the nervous spinning in his head. He watches her as she works the line of her jaw, the way her tongue presses to the side of her mouth when she thinks, the little crease between her brows when she's trying to get it right, and for a second he feels something complicated and soft and dangerous that he doesn't want to name. It makes his chest both hot and hollow. There, now you look presentable. She looks satisfied with her work. Thanks, he says. And the word is small and awkward, but it's there. He single quotes know how to show the other things the relief. The stupid lift in his chest because someone believed enough to help, so a clipped thanks will have to do. Rolled her eyes, brushing away a small strand of hair that had fallen over his forehead. It was such a casual, thoughtless gesture, yet something about it made him blink. Well, go show them they're about to meet the most hardworking, responsible man alive, and if they're too stupid to see that, then it's their loss.
He stared at her for a moment, lips parting as if something had caught in his throat. She blinks, confused.
What? He shakes his head with a faint, crook smile. You sounded like my mom just now double quotes. Then I must be doing a great job, she says proudly, straightening his collar. Once more, pretending like her heart didn't just do a strange little skip at the softness in his voice. Now stop whining and go. You'll do fine.
He turns toward the mirror, adjusts his tie for the 100th time, then mumbles, God, I'm so nervous.
Why am I so nervous today? I don't feel good. He runs a hand through his hair, muttering to himself, maybe I need, I don't know, a bit of luck. Or maybe some kind of, she narrows her eyes. Some kind of what? He grins faintly, still looking at his reflection. Maybe a kiss or something, you don't know. For good luck, double quotes, Wyan let out a loud laugh. A kiss? What are you, 5? He looked at her through the mirror. Maybe 6. Come on, I think I earned at least 1. You nearly strangled me with this tie, so I deserve a little compassion. How about a kick instead? She said sweetly, folding her arms. He turned around, walking backward toward the door. That's abusive, you know? I'm a fragile man, she smirked, stepping closer, her eyes sparkling. Fragile and you? He leaned down a little, playing it up. Yeah, might break without the kiss. She rolled her eyes so hard it almost hurt to watch. I gave you a pep talk. That should do the work. She crosses her arms, glaring at him even as a small smile plays at her lips. Pep talks don't have the same effects. Science says physical encouragement lasts longer. Oh, really? And what kind of science is that? The kind that works on nervous guys before job interviews, double quotes. They both chuckled. He grabbed his mobile and pocketed it before taking a deep breath as he reached for the door. She tugged his sleeve and tiptoed up, pressing a quick kiss to his cheek. He freezes for a moment. There, she said softly, trying to sound casual though her face was already pink. Don't make it weird. His hand brushed the spot she kissed. A dumb smile tugging at the corner of his mouth as he met her eyes. Yeah, it was really weird. Get out. she muttered, pushing him toward the door, trying to hide her own smile. Muttering good luck under her breath, and he didn't stop grinning the whole way to the interview.